if that's an option for y'all to be a nursing home administrator. A little bit, yeah. So I was like the same way with y'all. When I went to Texas State, I had no idea that this existed. So a lot of people don't realize that. Oh, you miss Charles?
You're fine.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. A lot of people don't realize that this is an option because I was an HA graduate at Texas State, and no one from my professors to my fellow students even pointed to this direction. I had to find it my own when I came back to Corpus Christi, and I met with the Del Mar CNA program director who steered me towards a program that was at Del Mar. Now they don't have that anymore. But if you're looking for a rewarding career, it's not just about the money, but it is usually a six-figure income. Okay, so it pays good, but it is stressful, I will tell you that. I'm gonna get into that, y'all, okay? It's a 24/7 job. It's tough. I will go more when I do the slideshow. But how does this relate to your healthcare law? I'm gonna bring it to y'all. I've been sued. Usually every administrator will get sued, or director of nursing will get sued. It happens. It's down to happen to everybody. You can have a fall, and it could be witnessed and say somebody saw it, but they have a brain bleed. They may die at the hospital. They will come back and try to sue you or sue me. And sometimes, only one time I've been pre-deposition where I'm in front of a lawyer. Now, the good thing is all nursing home companies have a lawyer. So when I went there, and I didn't even work for that company anymore at all when I got a deposition to it, the lawyer told me exactly what to say and what not to say, but it was like a 4-hour grill session. It's gonna help. But what will help you prepare for that is HHSC, who regulates the nursing homes, they feel like the police, okay? So they feel like somebody is trying, like, what's wrong? What did you do wrong? Why did this person fail? And stuff like that. So, law, it is very important. It's important to make sure that whatever company you go with has you covered, whether you're in the hospitals or hospice or home health. Nursing, I know we have a lot of nursing majors in here too. Y'all have to be careful too because they can sue you individually, but usually they do it all with the company because a lot of lawyers know that they're gonna get more money. Why are they gonna sue me? But they're gonna just also sue me and the company because they know they're gonna get a lot from the company. So you'll always be protected. Just don't own a business, y'all. Okay? And then you will get sued. Then you'll be on the pressure. But you gotta always be mindful of your surroundings and what you can control because lawyers will look at every little thing for it. I have a best friend who's a lawyer that deals with healthcare malpractice, and he tells me stories that happen all the time at the hospitals, and he's gotten nursing home cases, and trust me, people are very sue happy, so we got to be careful with that. Does anybody have any law questions for me before I get started on this? If you have nursing law questions, this is my great DON, Christine. So she has been with me for many years. It's important to have a good, stable relationship as the administrator and the DON. We don't always get along. We're going to butt heads. We may even want to choke each other sometimes, right? But at the end of the day, we're both there for the better good, which is our patients and our staff. So we'll get started, doctor. So like life and long-term care. The main thing, if you're going to be an administrator, or a DON, you have to bring some kind of joy and hope and some fun. Now, this may look like a simple game, but to them, man, they're having the time of their lives right now, okay? And that's what it's about. Simple things can mean so much to people. So, like when I say every day must be a good day, everybody's not going to have a good day. Not everybody's going to be chipper as me or go in there feeling good, but it doesn't hurt to acknowledge somebody walking by. Like if I walk by Christine, I'm always going to acknowledge her, even though I might have seen her 50 times. And that goes the same with residents, Residents are even more crucial because they have to be recognized. Because they don't know. A lot of the times they got dementia. I have a poor lady who's one of my favorite residents. She has very bad dementia, but she doesn't realize she hugged me like 20 times until, not ever really, but she just keeps on hugging me. So you have to recognize your surroundings, who you're around, all of that. And like my motto, like that I give my nursing home is we're here just to save lives. So even dietary, y'all, I tell them they save people's lives. Now how's that? Well, they're feeding them. They can go talk to these residents. Just because you're in the kitchen doesn't mean you can't get out and talk to a resident. and see how they like the food. So everybody that works in healthcare is some kind of healer, right? It doesn't matter if you're the DON, the administrator, housekeeping, they get down and dirty, they get to know our residents better than we do, okay? And a lot of the times, they're saving lives by just talking to the residents when they clean their room. That means so much to them. So that's what I mean when I say save lives. It's like basic, simple stuff of just doing what you got to do as a good human being. All right, we'll go on to the next one. I'll go press the button. And then, so we are the only top 100 nursing home in America, and that's presented by Newsweek, y'all. So we've never had a top 100 nursing home until now. So it's a lot of effort. It's based off of 4 measures, which is CMS rating, basically your 5-star rating that they do for us nursing homes. You get Google compare nursing homes, and the Medicare.gov website will show you all the hospitals, the home health, the hospice agencies, nursing homes that have been tagged, or what their history is of doing good. So I always say to my students, Hayden's going to be my student here next semester, is go, before you apply at any of these jobs, go look at that compare, that Medicare.gov website, because you'll know, and it's always better for the boss when they interview you, and you could tell me, like, this is how many citations I got, this is how old the building is. It doesn't have to, you don't have to memorize everything, but if you have some historical background on the hospice, the hospital, the home health, the nursing home, that goes a long way, y'all. And it only takes 5 seconds to look it up. I got my card there, y'all are welcome to take it, text me. That's my personal number, so you're welcome to text me. Try not to call, not unless you need to, but I'm here for y'all. Staffing levels, which is important. Me and Christine help operate the only nursing home in town that didn't use staffing agency. And that was hard to do, y'all. We only went through 1 raise during COVID, and that was it. Well, how do we keep people there in our facility? We talk to them. You go around, you get to know people that are having struggles in their life, and at that time in COVID season, which for us lasted years, it didn't just end in 2021, and even now, if we have a COVID patient, y'all, they still got to get secluded because we follow CDC guidelines now. So keeping customer service surveys, that's like our past residents, our doctors, our physicians, and the survey history is like when they come for annual survey. What that means is once a year, you know when you're getting a big old team coming in from the state, and they try to dig into every single thing possible. So that's our when no one goes on vacation, somebody got to be here in town, they got to come back from vacation. For me, I'm a big Philadelphia Eagles fan since I was a young child. I was about to go to the Eagles home opener, and State walked in 2 days before I was going to go. Well, I had to eat the cost of the hotel, but at least I got reimbursed for the rest. So stuff like that happens, and as a leader, there was no way in hell that I was going to not be there for my team for survey, because it's the most stressful time ever. And you're there for 12 hours, and it's tough. So, and y'all can stop me if y'all have any questions anytime, y'all. All right, just raise your hand and I can always go to y'all. So when I say bring joy and hope, so I'm a new school type of nursing home administrator, right? I told y'all, I'm not your normal healthcare leader. We had a hockey game a few months ago. We partnered with the Ice Rays. So this is stuff outside the box that y'all need to think of whatever role y'all do, especially if y'all run a nursing home, because that's where you're going to have families coming in and everybody coming in. But we had a hockey game in here. We had our residents outside this on the dining room, and they were banging like they were a real hockey game. I can't take all 91 of my residents to the hockey game, but if I can bring the hockey game to them, then that's what I'm going to do. And it's not that hard, y'all, to reach out to people, find out that they will help. 90% of the people I hit up is on Facebook Messenger. I don't even know some of these people. But guess what? 90% of the people that I hit up, they'll come. The 10% ones don't, want money. They got to realize we're a nursing home. You do this out of the goodness of your heart. They can skedaddle that way. So we have wrestling event. I know y'all see this wrestling ring. We are the only nursing home in the world And I'm in the world, y'all, that has hosted an annual pro wrestling event in a nursing home. Now, it's outside the nursing home, but that's pretty cool. So, it's in the parking lot, yeah. We had over, I would say, 1,000 people at our function, which we just had last week. The news covers it all the time. If you Google Care Day, you'll find a bunch of cool stuff because that's what we're known for. We just changed our name to a beer. So if you Google Care Day, Corpus Christi, KRS, you will see a lot of videos. And that's because they show the goodness of what we do. So, how did we get this wrestling event? I just messaged the owner of Gulf Coast Wrestling Alliance, and instead of talking, I didn't ask him to put on a wrestling event, y'all. I am a wrestling fan, but I didn't ask him to put on a wrestling event. He wanted to put this on. So we've been doing it the last 3 years, and it's been awesome for our residents. They get the biggest smiles ever. Nobody's had a heat stroke, which counts. We also bring them to the hoops game. We were the first nursing home to have a resident throughout the first pitch. Now you're probably wondering, how is a nursing home resident throw the first pitch? It was better than it was a good condition. That's how you throw the first pitch. So they allow us to go to special suites, special sections. It doesn't take much effort to do that. You just got to make the call, and you will find the right people to help out your nursing home. Same thing with this. When I'm partnered with Delmore, we got one of their professors to come when he gets out of school to teach our residents Spanish. So it's a Spanish class they're doing. So stuff like y'all think that, what would I want if I was in a nursing home, right? That's what y'all got to think of if you ever take over a nursing home or if you're a leader in nursing like Christine is. So, that's that part. When I say bring joy and hope, this is my pastor. He is in heaven now. But he was the only one during COVID that would have the guts to come to our nursing home and visit our residents and staff. He gave so much hope and promise to our residents and our staff because we were dying, we were struggling, it was tough. Nobody deserves to be, stuck in a wall and can't move. And the residents, we lost people because of broken hearts, We didn't lose people just because of COVID. We lost people because of their hearts breaking. And that's because they couldn't see their families, or maybe certain stuff wasn't getting done. So I made a vow, once we got at COVID, I ain't running no typical boring nursing home. We're gonna look forward to something, and that's what y'all gotta do. If you keep your residents active, the families see that, the staff see that, and you create a good, fun environment. Because it's stressful, y'all. We are the second most regulated industry in the USA. And that's, number one is nuclear weapons. Okay?
That's a fact, y'all.
Her lifespan is 6 months in a nursing home as a DON. My lifespan is 9 months in a nursing home. Why? Because it's stressful, y'all. And you gotta know, if you're gonna do this, it's a 24/7 real job. No matter if I'm on a cruise or she can be in the Bahamas with a pina colada in her hand. I mean, she picks up the phone. It's just stuff that we take on as an obligation for taking care of others. It also takes a health care toll on you. So be expecting that. Your mental, I have depression now. That happened after COVID, and I mean, it was gonna happen. And it comes with the territory. So y'all being nursing or leaders, just expect something like that, okay? Because it comes with the territory of taking care of people and seeing people in grave conditions. It will break your heart, okay? And it's just how we carry ourselves to be better, to not let that depression sit in, because we have a big purpose. So, we also make sure to celebrate milestone birthdays, like our 100-year-old resident. She made it to 101 and passed away, and she's in heaven right now. We take them to simple things, like free stuff. The water gardens, I know y'all know where that's at. It doesn't take much effort for us to take a resident to the water gardens and have the time of their lives and waving and having fun. And that's what life should be about every day. In a nursing home, it should be fun. You should look forward to something. Because if your residents or staff aren't looking forward to anything, then you're not doing your job. It's just a boring nursing home. You're going to have issues. You're going to have morale issues. You got to keep them busy. And you're going to be in my role, it's good to have a good activity director to take that load off, which I have one now, so I've finally been able to relax a little bit. When I say the importance of like families and residents, these residents y'all see here are no longer with us. They are in heaven. We make sure to honor every month, whether it's breast cancer awareness or all cancer awareness month. I think it's in June or March. We make sure to honor Women's History Month. It doesn't take much effort, y'all, to go look in a system or call their families and figure out, hey, she was an accountant, she was a nurse, you know, and then we give them a certificate and invite their families. You can print all certificates now online. They don't cost a dime. You call one of your hospice or home health companies to give you free food, which they will, and it makes their day, makes their life, and that's what every day should be about in a nursing home. We invite the news out. They put good stuff out there for us, though they will put out bad stuff for a nursing home too. This lady right here, it meant the world to her that her mom was recognized as a breast cancer survivor, and she, you know, we do it for them. We do it for the families. We do it for the residents. Both of these residents have gone to heaven. They are you know, a wife and husband. This is their daughter who took great care of them, would come every single day, y'all. You will have some resident family members that come every day. Some of them may be a pain in your ass. Sorry, doctor. Some of them may help out the facility and like be a good part of it. No, that's it. Thank you. She passed away, like I would say in March. He passed away a few months later. The term broken heart, it is a real thing, y'all. So we saw him wheeling right by her office the day before with her daughter, and she told me, he said that she was there in the room. And we hear this a lot in nursing homes, y'all. Whether it's our CNAs hearing voices of past deceased residents, and they're good. I mean, that's nothing bad. But this is something she will never forget. She still sends me pictures like this because she recognized what we did for her and her family. And now they're both in heaven. And he was a veteran, and she was his wife who took great care of the family. So stuff like this, when you recognize people and their families, you're making what we're supposed to do in healthcare. And that's basically just to bring, like I said, joy and hope to others. That's what it's about. You also got to remember to protect your facility, because guess what? It's 24/7 in a nursing home, right? You can have an active shooter come. Well, it's not that hard to call the local police department and do an active shooter drill, which they'll go through all the exits, and it's very important in a nursing home. We're not trying to get on the news, and we're not trying to kill any of our folks. We're trying to protect our folks always. What this picture is, we had a fire Christmas Eve. So when I say 24/7, I was at my wife's Christmas party. I got a call. I was already a little, daddy sodas, a little happy that night. But I had to go in because we had a fire. And this wall right here, which is probably about 5 feet tall, was completely busted. What saved us was the fire sprinklers that went on and did it right away. That right there is a laundry cart. It had little chemicals, basically the chemicals housekeeping cleans. They put it in the laundry basket, put a little towel over it. Well, they got it out of the dryer. Well, it combusted after about 10 hours. So, or about from 5 o'clock, it busted about like 11. So that stuff like that happens, y'all. We have the fire chief of police and the investigator come out, and they ruled it was a combustible fire. It's crazy. You would never think that would happen, and it did. So, like important stuff like keeping your maintenance director in line with all your fire sprinklers, your fire alarm systems. When I say it, we're over everything. We're over everything. And it never ends. So you always got to protect your people. My HR spent the whole night, and my maintenance director, putting that wall up together because per HHSC, which is Health Human Services Commission, we have to, if there's a fire, we have to fix it right away, no matter the time. You gotta celebrate your staff, right? You gotta show them love and show them it's not just about you or your DON, it's about everybody. We celebrated my very first AIT, which is Administrator in Training. If y'all decide to do it and you graduate like Hayden, and Hayden wants to be my AIT, I am a preceptor, so I can do that. I only have one. So if Hayden graduates here in December, wants to do her internship, then she does about, y'all would do either 500 hours or 1,000 hours in a nursing home. Then you gotta take 3 tests, and they're very hard. You gotta study for that, and there's different areas of the state to go study for that before. She graduated. She is now the executive director over in Portland. So she's over the assisted living. So she's doing awesome. Right here, this was our nurse. She beat cancer. So we did a big celebration. Didn't cost much to go to Hobby Lobby or Party City and get those little things that fly off everywhere. But that's what we did. Now, my housekeeping was a little upset, but it meant the world to her. And she was crying, and it wasn't about that. It was just about recognizing her fight that she did, and she won. So you have to remember who you have. This was my marketer. She was here for like 50 years, y'all. The Memorial Hospital. She started that hospital over there as a marketer. She retired. We make sure to throw her one hell of a retirement party, and all drinks were on me. So, keep it fun, right? Here we are, my maintenance director, my activity director, and me. Dietary week. We all took over the line. Now, I may not have been doing as much as Christine here was, but I was still regulating the place. So, you know, dietary week. Think about it. Think outside the box. What would dietary want? Well, we treated them out to lunch, and we took over the whole line for lunch. Stuff like that will go a long way. Trust me. And they won't spit in your food if you ask for a lunch tray, okay? Anybody no less? No less? All right. So when I say honor, this is my pastor that we lost. We recognized him. I put a little palm tree, something that won't die because of the freeze. I recognized what he meant to me and what he meant to my people. So when he passed away, I made sure that he will always be remembered. Dr. Ramos, right here, he was a doctor over at Corpus Christi Rehab Hospital. He was their medical director, y'all. He had a heart attack at the young age of 48. So he was one of our attending docs. He was in there a lot during COVID too. Recognize people that have had an impact. It doesn't matter if they're a night nurse or a doctor that comes in once every 2 weeks. You know, you've got to show your people love. The purple wristbands, that was for my MPS coordinator because Margie, she was fighting ovarian cancer, one of those cancers. So we wanted to be there for her and show our solidarity in her fight of cancer. And guess what? She beat cancer. And that helps with prayers and believing. You gotta believe if you run a nursing home, y'all. I don't care what religion it is, but you gotta have faith and you gotta believe, because this job will keep you alive. We have what's called the VA ladies, which they're called DABA Unit 150. They come yearly. They give out 70 wreaths to our veterans. These are veteran ladies that help out. And it's in the community. And why do they help out? We have the most veterans in the nation. You know, not because I said so, but the VA government from the Valley told us we have the most. A typical nursing home runs 8 to 10 VA veterans. We have 25 to like 30.
For a non-VA home. So yeah. Our nursing home has a veteran contract. So we have the most veterans that reside in our nursing home in the nation.
And like Christine was saying, we have veterans homes, but there's only a few of them. I think one's in Floresville, one's in San Antonio. There's not that many of them, y'all. There's rumors that one might happen over here off of Robstown, which would be good for our veterans. Because there's like 400 to 500 of them as we're getting towards the Vietnam and Korean veterans. That's what we see in our nursing homes. 15 years ago when we started, we used to see some World War I, World War II, and now, unfortunately, they passed away. So you always got to remember, y'all, like, y'all might be dealing with some Afghanistan and Pakistan veterans. but whatever, y'all gotta make it a big deal because they really love it, their families really love it. And the mayor, if y'all recognize this good lady, she's the mayor of our city. She comes quarterly to visit my nursing home. How? You just put in a request to the mayor's office. All right, that's all it is. That's all it takes. And she's there every quarter. And I also use that as a marketing tool too. Okay, like when families hear, hey, the mayor comes quarterly and gives like a state of the city address. That's awesome. It's a great selling point, and you know, my mind's always thinking of different ways, not just to market, but to help people and show people what we really do. We honor Black History Month. I get some great people. Matt Manning, he's a civil rights attorney. He does awesome work. He comes, he speaks about it. We recognize the people that help us. These are the ROTC students at West Oso. Guess what? They were just over at my nursing home on Veterans Day again. We're going to be doing that here in a few weeks and taking them all types of pizza and food because we recognize what they did for our veterans in our nursing home. So you take care of people that take care of you, no matter what field you are in. Sometimes they're going to do the unusual stuff. This right here, my resident cussed out the B-bus at HCAD. B-bus refused to pick her up. They called me, because I was the closest one to her on that side of town. So I went to go pick her up in my personal car and took her back to the nursing home. And she's making that face because she knows she's in trouble. Not really, we don't get her in trouble. But you have to do stuff sometimes that you would never expect to do, okay? No matter what your role is in healthcare. We honor people that have been impacts in our community. The fire chief, he retired about 2 years ago. He saved our building many times because he would send the whole fleet to our nursing home. That's the scariest thing that you could ever come to in the middle of the night. Seeing every single fire truck of Corpus lined up down the street of your nursing home. But you know it's protected and you know that they're on it. So recognize city leaders that you see come to your nursing home. All right? We honor our veterans in so many different ways. Simple stuff like this from Alara Hospice, providing your certificate and a pin meant the world to them, y'all. We did this a month before Veterans Day, but it still meant the world to them. And that's what it's about, making the world a better place for them every day. And then, if you have a fun home, sometimes they'll kid with you. I had a citation for a water ticket on my 40th birthday. So my team decided to make my office like if I was a county inmate. I literally had to go to the courthouse on my birthday because I had a water ticket citation for sprinklers that were going off in my house. They take care of you. We have fun times. You show the residents a good time, they will not only throw you the deuces, but they'll throw you thumbs up too, okay? All right, y'all. You have any questions for me? Nursing questions for Christine? She's been in this industry just as long as I have. All right? We're both born and raised in Corpus. We decided to stay here to make it a better place. And we have. And we're proud of that. And we can wake up knowing that we're trying our best. And that's all you can do in healthcare, y'all.
Questions?
Anything.
He said a lot, don't be shy.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
It's not necessarily a question, but I really like how you're involved. Like, I feel like a lot of places forget to recognize, like, not only patients, but also staff. I like how you, like, stay involved with everyone. Like, not a lot of places do that. I like that.
Awesome. Thank you, thank you. Katie will witness that next semester. Also, let her know.
Challenges around staffing.
So challenges around staffing is a real thing, y'all. You know, there was a CMS mandate that came out that you might have heard about, where us nursing homes had to have an RN coverage all the time, or this amount of nurses. Our organization, which is ACHA, or you know, the local one, like Dr. Owens was saying, I'm a part of THCA, which is a Texas branch of it. They fight for that because they recognize, man, we can't pull out 28,000 nurses that aren't even here on earth just to make it happen for the staffing mandate. So that staffing mandate won't happen, but a lot of people deal with the challenges and the real, you know, issue of shortages. And really, you know, it's not all about pay. You know, people say, you know, pay raise, pay raise. You can only do so many pay raises before you get, you know, slapped, your hand slapped. But it's about also creating the environment. Like, why go to like another nursing home when they've been here for 5 years and you have a great camaraderie and you have a great flow? And that's what you need. You need to have a great flow and great leader as a DON, because nursing, she controls the biggest labor. So the highest turnover is in nursing. And Christine, why do you think that?
There's a lot of factors. So who is wanting to be an administrator in a nursing facility? You. Okay, who wants to be an administrator leadership in a hospital? You. Okay, the number one problem you're going to have is staffing. Okay, for one, there's not enough clinicians. That means LVNs, RNs, CNAs, PCTs, which are patient care techs, phlebotomists. So you have to basically be the leader that does everything in your power to keep your staff there. Okay, there's always going to be another company that's going to want to throw more money at them. That's number one. That's always the first reason why somebody comes to you and says, hey, Christine, I got this job offer. They're willing to pay me more. I love working here. I love this. But then, you know, you sit with them and you negotiate. Okay, look, pay-wise, it's not my money I pay these people, right? It's the company that I work for. Okay, the hospital that you're going to work for, it's their money. The insurance that you're going to work for, it's their money. The home health that you work for, it's going to be their money. So you can't just willy-nilly give everybody away that money, right? So you have to sit and talk to them. Okay, look, we create a working environment that, yes, it's stressful at times, but it's also, it has its better days, right? There's some facilities where every day they walk in, it's just complete chaos and stress. You are the leaders that help control that for your staff. Okay, so yes, the economy is different. I've been a nurse for 13 years, okay? Some people have been nurses for 30 years, 50 years. Some people have been nurses for 2 years, okay? People who have been in nursing, their nursing career for 2 years are making as much as people who've been a nurse for 30 years, right? That's just where the economy is, and that's what the new career they're starting their pay at. So then you have these veteran team members that are like, how is this fair? Because the number one thing you're going to tell your staff is do not discuss pay, right? And what's the number one thing they go and do? How much are you making? How much are you making? And then you're comparing. So you do have to create an atmosphere that keeps your staff. You have to show them appreciation, and that is being involved. I'm the type of leader that I don't like to get into too much personal, because at the end of the day, my job is to be over all the CNAs, the nurses, the medication aides, all my residents, and plus all their family members, right? So I'm putting out fires every day. I'm listening concerns. But at the end of the day, too, that your staff have stuff that are going on in real life, too. And so you do have to be a little flexible, you know? Our team members have kids, and you know what? If this is their senior year, they should be able to take off to go see some milestone that their child is, you know, being awarded of. And so, you know, we have a lot of single parents that they worked really, really hard to get their kids to some of these accomplishments, and they should be able to go and celebrate that. So you as a leader, you prepare for that. You build a relationship with them, where it's like, hey guys, I know people want off. Holidays are coming up. That means, guess what? You have to hire PRN staff. But you also have to, you know, set that environment for them to want to stay with you, because at the end of the day, as a leader, you will have loyal people for you, and they will go to war for you, okay? But it's because of how you are treated, how you treat them, how you respect them, how sometimes the customer isn't always right. In healthcare, guys, we always have a difference of opinions with the family members and the clinicians, right? The biggest thing right now in hospitals is the family members these patients are needing extra services, and they're having to get permission from the insurances, and the insurances are having to approve those things, right? And so, you know, these families are like, wait a minute, why aren't y'all doing this for my loved one? They need this. The doctor's saying they need this, but then you have to deliver that message of, well, the insurance is denying you, right? And so it's like you have to create, so sometimes, or let's say, you know, what the family is wanting, they're not even clinical, but they're like, I read this on Google, or I saw this on TikTok. And so you have a difference of opinions. When you're a professional, you went to school for some of this stuff, right? And then you have this family member that is totally against what the doctor's saying, what the case managers are saying, what the insurance is saying, what you're saying. And so you have to be able to communicate with those family members that customers, sometimes they're not always right. Sometimes you do have to go to bat for your nurse. You do have to go to bat for your CNA. When your CNA is saying, I tried every day for the past 14 days to get this resident into the shower, and he still refuses, guess what? Residents and patients have a right to refuse. By law, they have a right to refuse. okay? And if the family member comes in and says, y'all are neglectful, y'all aren't showering my loved one, it's been 14 days. Imagine that on the news or TikTok or on the gram. They're like, oh my God, nursing home went 14 days without bathing a resident. But guess what we can't do? We can't defend ourselves and say, well, we've tried 3 times a day, you know, every day for the past 14 days, and the resident is like, no, it's too cold, I don't want to shower, just leave me alone. They have that right, right? So we're not able to share that because it's a HIPAA violation. And so you have to be willing to, you have to be able to navigate those conversations and have your teams back to where it is, to where you don't want them to leave and they don't want to leave either. So like he said, money isn't always the big thing. It is a big drive now, I'm not gonna lie, because of the economy and everybody's like, I have bills to pay or this and that. But if those are things that you have in your control and your power to keep your staff, I suggest that you be that leader. Because that's what you have control over. But that's what we deal with staff, yes ma'am.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm very involved. I know he says a lot. He's a fun guy. I'm the matter of fact business. If you are going into healthcare administration, you're going to be dealing a lot with customer service status and nursing 101. If you didn't document, it did not happen. So from a legal standpoint, they will try to take you to court. They will try to find. You can do everything in your power and within your restraints in what you are licensed for, and sometimes things still go wrong, right? Sometimes things still happen, and the families have that capability or availability to seek legal for you. So just make sure that you know what is in your scope of practice, you support your team, you give them the tools to be successful, and you give them the resources to be successful. Because as a leader, if you do not provide that for your staff, whether you're a hospital, home health, nursing home, they will fail. And it's them that's going to be in trouble, not you. But eventually, it will be your license on the door, so you can get pulled into that too. But to me, that would be, it would be a disservice to your team if you're putting them out there to do a job and they don't have what's needed to do that job properly. And then that's when litigation gets involved. That's when errors happen. That's when mistakes happen. And that's when you kind of leave your team member out there to be by themselves. But like I said, you support them and you be that leader where you fight. And also too, you do what's good. Ethically, your company's gonna be like, no, you don't need to get a new shower bed because they're $600. And you're like, but wait a minute, this is coming undone, right? And you put in that request, and the company's saying, no, we don't have $600 in that budget right now. And you're like, well, I don't know what to do. And guess what? Your CNAs know that patient still needs a shower, and they take your loved one to that shower room, and guess what happens? The one that was loose and all that, because they didn't want to provide another one. What happens if it breaks and that resident falls and they break something? The number one thing that family member's going to say is, y'all knew and y'all still did this. And do you think it's your company that's going to be answering that, or it's going to be those poor CNAs that were the ones that asked for the equipment, but you're, as an administrator, did it? Not that you've done that, but it's happened. And they don't approve that. That's situations you're going to be put in. So you, as a leader and an administrator, you're going to have to make those ethical calls too. Are you going to just, take what your company say, no, I'm not going to provide that for my staff when that's a tool that they need to be successful to provide the safest patient care? Or are you just going to set them up for a liability like that and put a patient's health in harm's way? So those are decisions y'all are going to be responsible for. And I hope y'all are ready, but as long as you have what's right for the patient and that's what you're operating on, you're going to be good. But if you're just in here because it's a 6-figure paycheck and you're like, oh, you know what, I'm going to be making money, they can handle it, you're not going to be successful, not only for you and your career, but for those patients and for the staff. But so that's the staffing issues we're having.
Okay. And the other thing, when you started off, you said that this is the second most regulated industry. Expand on that a little bit.
So we are regulated by basically every industry you think of. The U.S. Department of Labor, HHSC, CMS, the feds will come in your nursing home, y'all. Yeah, the federal government will come in your nursing home and do an annual survey. You will have police come in often, the fire department come often. You have so many different companies coming in because they have some kind of regulation control over us nursing homes. And it's just the way it is. It's actually a good thing for your loved one that we are the second most regulated industry in the USA, because that's good for the residents and what they need. So it is tough, and like Christine says, yes, it's financially rewarding, but it's also emotionally and physically draining on you. All right, we just had the Veterans Day. And we were exhausted, y'all, by noon. But we knew we still had a second half of Veterans Day because we're not going to do this rinky-dink 1 hour or 2 hour Veterans Day celebration. No, the veterans deserve to be celebrated all day. So we were all exhausted at the end of the day, but we made it happen for others and for the benefit of others. And that's what we do.
We're also regulated by, the most regulated second is because we bill Medicare, so we're regulated by CMS. So Medicare and Medicaid are government money that they fund for your residents to stay in a nursing home. In the hospital, they have all different types of insurances and they bill differently, and they get surveyed under JCO, but we get serviced under HCAD where we have an annual survey. So if there are times where we're not performing up to their regulatory standards, whenever they come and do their annual survey, there's tags that we can get, okay? They go from a range of an E tag all the way to a J tag. When you start getting to a J tag, every day that you don't clear that IJ, it's called an immediate jeopardy, you have a fine that you have to pay. They vary in the numbers, but some fines can go up to $56,000 a day that you have to pay back depending on the incident that happened. So when we say we're the second most regulated besides a nuclear plant, is nuclear plants, they have all these audits as well. Well, so do we, and because we get paid by government money, it's the government that comes and they come to see if we're doing everything under their regulations. And so if we're not, and they feel like there's more concerns than normal, they can also put you on a special focus list. And so instead of your nursing home having one survey annually, you do it twice a year, and you're basically put on a restriction to where if you don't pass the next 2 surveys from that, they can actually shut your nursing home down. And so they also stop payment at a certain point too. As a leader, as a director of nursing, and as a long-term care administrator, you are responsible for performing the way state of Texas says you should be providing the best care and the safest practices for your residents. Your job's going to be to make sure that your DON is running the clinical operation to perform the safest care for your residents too. So that's what we mean by we're the second most regulated entity aside from nuclear plants.
Thank you. Last week we did a chapter on end-of-life decisions, and we talked a little bit about euthanasia, physician-assisted suicide, those kinds of ethical issues. Just kind of your thoughts.
We don't do any euthanasia type of stuff, as it's definitely not allowed in a regulated nursing home. End of life, Christine is very involved with families. The hospice comes in, they provide quicker care or more end of life care. Yeah, go ahead.
So end of life care euthanasia, it's not legal in Texas yet. They're still, in a law where they haven't passed that yet. But what Texas does similar to that, it's not similar, but we do have hospice care and palliative care. So at the end of the day, it's the quality of life for some people. That's 2 things that people kind of yo-yo with is quantity of life and quality of life. Just because you can live on a vent and a G-tube and be bedbound for 50 years, some people would question what kind of quality of life is that, right? And so you do have to have that discussion with the family members of, do you want your family member to basically just stay in the bed because they can't function outside of the bed for the rest of their remaining life, or do you want to make them comfortable, pain-free, and be on hospice services? So hospice has changed also. There are people who still go to dialysis that are on hospice. There are still people who are on hospice and are still full code. Hospice, the length of the expected life expectancy is different. Back then it was way shorter. Now it's every 6 months they do a recertification. But so what my take on that is, I don't push this on other people. What I do believe that if a resident has made their wishes known that they rather have a good quality of life and a pain-free and anxious-free remainder of their life, then it's our duty to ensure that those wishes are followed. And so when we do have these uncomfortable conversations with the family members and they say, I don't want this choice on me, you divert that conversation on, well, what did your loved one tell you? If your loved one has told you that that's not what they want, you're not making the decision for them. You're following their wishes. They've already said this. Now then you get into some of the positions to where you have a daughter that came out of nowhere because she hasn't been anywhere in the family the past 30 years, and then you have the daughter who's the closest attorney, there was no will. And so you have to get everybody on the same page, and then you get into that legal aspect of it, and then if you're not able to figure that out on your level of whatever facility you're running, then I would highly suggest you get your legal team involved, because the last thing you want is to follow through with something and then you're responsible for a decision that wasn't agreed on. But as far as euthanasia, it's not something that I've really looked into, because in Texas we don't do that. But end of life, everybody provides services, especially with hospice and palliative care. And so, just make sure that you're following the wishes of the resident or the family if the resident has made them the designee to make those decisions.
So when someone comes into your facility, do you encourage them to do a medical power of attorney or?
We do. When we see that they've been diagnosed with dementia, because there's certain levels of memory impairment that they have to where they're not even able to sign anymore. So the sooner that these family members are starting to show signs of that, where they're not able to make their decisions anymore, we do encourage them to go get some type of legal form that puts them as the decision maker, because once it comes to that point where they're no longer able to, they can't do a lot of things legally. Like, they can't sign for stuff. And one thing that a lot of people fail to realize as part of the equation too is the financial aspect. These residents who go into the nursing home, if they're not Medicaid, if they're private pay and they still have a home and stuff like that out in the community, and their money's running out for them to stay in the nursing home, the family's like, I need them to sign the house over to me so I can sell it and so I can continue to pay for them. Well, then we get into a little gray water if that's even ethical, because that would be not misappropriations of funds, but exploitation, even though they're family members and they're going to sell that to pay for them to be there, but they don't have the legal rights to do that yet, right? And so there's a lot of gray water, and it's just on how, as a leader, you get your resources and you help navigate those questions and those situations when you come across them, because it does happen pretty often.
Legal team, y'all. Everyone has it. Every healthcare entity has a legal team, so again, use them wisely.
Other questions? These guys are not normally so quiet.
That's all good. At the end of the day, don't worry.
Yeah, they're like, these people don't stop talking so I can go do this.
What led you to want to do that?
So I wanted to be a Halo flight nurse, and so I started off at Memorial, and then I was working nights, and the schedule of working nights was just not agreeing with my life, my personal life, and I was like, you know what, I need kind of more of a day job. So I got into long-term care, and it was a small management position there, and just because that's what was available at the time, and I was like, okay, well, I'll try it out. And then they recruited me to be the director of nursing program, and so when I was with Regency, they recruited me into that program, and then I've always come back to long-term care. I've been the house supervisor at Swan Beeville, I've done trauma ICU, and my heart always comes back to long-term care. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just a passion of mine. I can never just explain what the one thing is. But I drive from Beeville and to every day, and so I must love it if I'm that committed. But there's nowhere else I'd rather be right now than in a nursing home. So I'm very fortunate that this position and this opportunity came for me to join the team again. So yeah, and now I'm a long-term care again. But I love it. I do. It's stressful, but at the same time, it's very rewarding.
Now, your facility, I know that you have assisted living, and do you have any independent living or?
No, some facilities do, like Mirador, they have the independent living, nursing home. They have the AL there. We have like a skilled nursing home that me and Christine are in charge of, and then assisted living, all under one roof. Now, we're both over the whole thing, so we don't have our licenses on the ALS, nor will we want to, y'all. So we have our own ED, executive director, on the AL side, and a charge nurse on that side. So they almost operate independently than what we do. The thing is, though, that when we have big activities like Veterans Day or the wrestling event, we do stuff together.
Okay. Could you give them just a little bit of an explanation what the difference is in the two levels of care?
Yeah, so assisted living, y'all, there's like different levels to meet the assisted living requirements. It's not like you could be any person off the street and then, go pay for an assisted living and stay there. It doesn't work like that. You have to have some kind of impairment. the more that those, and they're not certified, like on our side, they're certified nurses aides. On that side, they're resident aides, meaning they could be anybody from Burger King or whatever walk of life they may be. So that type of level of care doesn't have a nurse 24/7. We always have nurses on the nursing home side. That's a big difference. They don't have, they're not certified aides, while we are certified aides. They can't do a lot of transfers and lifting and stuff like that. That assisted living patient is expected to do basically almost everything. I mean, we have some that have dogs, and then if they're sick and they can't take, little Lucy to go outside the restroom, well, one of our resident aides or somebody will help that person take the dog out. So it's, there's different levels.
Level of care and diagnosis. They're more independent on assisted living, which they just still need a little bit of help.
Right.
Kind of like you're at home with home health, but the family is able to pay for them to be in assisted living. And then long-term care is they need 24-hour nurses. So there has to be a licensed nurse, so either LVN or RN, and they have to have CNA. And so that's the biggest difference is the level of care and that they require.
Do you have a memory unit?
No, we don't. We both had one before. Yeah, we both had one. We both evacuated that nursing home with the lock unit. It was hard during Hurricane Harvey. We had to have someone at the exit door, someone at the very front of this hallway. And during Harvey, it sucked, y'all. We had our residents sleeping on the ground, basically on mattresses. So regulations have changed now. Due to what happened in Houston, if y'all saw that on the news, where the Navy or somebody with the military was coming on a boat and they refused to let that person in. There's regulations that came about because of what happened with Harvey. So every nursing home, if we evacuate somewhere, they have to provide us all beds and no more sleeping on mattresses on the floor.
And that's a liability. There's always liability what y'all are gonna do. So I guess what you take from this is know what you're able to, know your policies and procedures. So if you are in a secure unit, there's a difference between a memory care unit and a locked unit. Locked and secure unit are basically the same meaning but different verbiage. So a secure locked unit are for people who are a high elopement risk. So that means that they can get out. They're always constantly exit seeking. But even in secure units, residents have gotten out of secure units and have eloped. And so then that's a reportable. But that's also something that you need to be really knowledgeable if you take over something like that. Because at some point, if any of those residents have a decline and they no longer meet the definition of an elopement risk and you're holding them back there too, you are holding them against their will and you will get an immediate jeopardy. And that is a big no-no. Because at the same time, residents, their conditions decline, and so you have to make sure that you are incorporating their new plan of care in whatever new, place that they are in their life. And so it's our responsibility. You're going to hear a lot about care plans, whether you're an administrator or nursing, but that care plan is a snapshot of how that patient or resident requires care at that moment in time. And so it's really, really important that y'all are updating that as often as you're supposed to, so that way you know what level of care that resident is requiring at that time.
And I know there's been some, I don't know how recent, but some changes around restraints.
You cannot do restraints on that.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about what the state considers restraints.
Okay.
Because
So I'm going to talk about what people used to do back in the day, right? Back in the day, 25 years ago?
35 years ago.
They would, a patient sitting in a wheelchair, they would put a sheet around them and tie it in their back because they were constantly falling or trying to get up. They used to restrain the bed, the hand, mittens. They would have pull rails on the bed. In long-term care, those were, back then they weren't. Now, the side rails that they have in the hospital, those are considered restraints in a long-term care facility. You cannot restrain anybody by tying them down. A chemical, if you give them an IM injection, that is considered a chemical restraint. And if you administer that to a resident against their will or the family member's will, that is considered assault. So there's chemical restraints. If somebody is constantly slipping out of their wheelchair, and you put, it's called a pommel cushion. It's a little cushion that you put in the wheelchair that has a little hump, kind of like a saddle for the horses. If that's inhibiting them to do what their action is, that is considered a restraint. So again, whenever you want to get, when you're going to try to get sued from these family members after they fall and they break something, state has made it very, very clear that a resident has the right to fall. There was a huge in-service on this. There was a lot of literature on this. And so, but what our responsibility to do is try to find non-restraint ways to prevent them from falling. Now, I'm not Houdini, y'all, but it's like toileting every 2 hours. If they're falling, trying to go to the restroom all the time, right? You have to try to, just be creative. Toilet every 2 hours, fall mat. And at some point, they're just so impulsive because their dementia has progressed that you can't restrain, you can't tie them in the bed, and you can't keep them in the bed. So then you revert to try to minimize injury. But those are some of the things. It's called a jerry chair. It's like a recliner, but it scoops back, so it kind of like makes it really hard for you to get up like that. That's considered a restraint because you are restricting their movement of something they would be able to do if they were sitting in a chair. So it's extremely complicated, and you really just have to figure out ways to, come up with different interventions. But all you can do is try and try and try. But yeah, some of those things, we don't allow bed alarms. Bed alarms are considered a restraint in long-term care. Chair alarms are considered a restraint in long-term care. Those are no longer allowed in nursing homes. So everything the hospital's able to do, and then the family member's like, well, why don't they have side rails? Why don't they have bed alarm, chair alarm? Well, because we can't have that in long-term care. We're not allowed to.
Yeah.
So fall risk, and they still need a place to stay, and so stay there. And just hope that they don't fall and break their hip.
And so that comes under ethical questions. Who made the laws?
HHS.
And the people who are making the laws oftentimes are not the people who have clinical experience. Because the reason it came up is because I did have a friend who's at a nursing home now. And I was like, where's the bed rails?
Yeah.
I mean, I walked in, I was like, where's the bed rails? And they, no, we can't have those. I'm like, what do you mean you can't have those? He falls on the floor. What are you talking about? And so they put those little round things that you pull up with.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of like a bed rail.
Yeah, kind of like a bed rail.
It's a bar. It's to help aid in turning and repositioning.
Right, but it's not a bed rail. So, but that blocks him from falling out of the bed. But yeah, I was very
So
surprised.
the reason why, and I'll give you the reason why they did away with the side rails and the bed alarms is because HHSC said that the studies that they showed with the bed alarms and chair alarms with the dementia patients in the nursing homes, it caused them to fall more because they would get scared of the noise that it would make, and so they would fall while they were getting them. And then the bed rails is because there were several residents who got, instead of falling from a lower plane, they were falling from over the bed rail trying to get over that, and then they would sustain head injuries or worsening injuries. So they felt like after their studies that they did, it caused more harm than not. And so that's why they did away with them.
Okay. You can't explain that to a family.
No, you can't. You can't until you're there in litigation. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
All right. Like when the patient has like severe like dementia and stuff, and just doesn't want to be there, but like the family wants him to be there. Like how do you guys go about patients that just don't want to be there?
So we try to redirect them. If they have a power of attorney, then at that point they're not able to make their decisions anymore. So we do have to abide by the family member, and it takes a lot of time and effort to try to redirect them. There are some times where like, look, we've tried everything and they're just still not wanting to stay here. We cannot keep them. We have to get the ombudsman involved for discharge planning, and the ombudsman there's two ombudsmen, one that's a volunteer with state, and there's one that's hired on by state, and so we get them involved. We have care plan meeting after care plan meeting until we all come to an agreement where the family agrees to take them home, or we find other placement for them, but until then we have to try to meet their needs in the long-term care facility.
So that also correlates where sometimes those dementia patients are so dementiaed out, they're trying to exit all the time. So
Yeah, like what if it's like from the state? Like,
right.
And we have to put them, and then we refer them to a secure unit. But until they can be admitted to a secure unit, then we have to staff a 1-to-1, and then you're going to be over your budget that your company allows you to have, and then you have to explain why you're over budget because you're staffing an extra team member.
Yeah.
Until they can leave, and you have to put them on a 1-to-1 because if you put them on 15-minute checks and they still end up getting out and they're walking along the highway and you can't find them, that's an immediate jeopardy. your license will be,
Referred to the
referred.
state, yeah.
So
My
I under-
license has been referred to the state, y'all, before. It happens, it's gonna happen to y'all. No matter the nursing home that you run, it happens. You go, send an email to the state about what happened, and, I haven't been there's some times where people have to do CEUs, or they take their license away, but that's after many times it gets referred. Our license gets referred if we have a G tag or higher, which G tag means some kind of harm to the patient or patients. So it happens. It is. We'll deal with it.
Find a way to minimize it and move forward, because there are still other residents that depend on you running the facility that take care of them 24/7. So there's gonna be a lot of hiccups, guys, there's gonna be a lot of times where you are stressed, but at the end of the day, if this is really what you wanna continue doing, you just kind of find a solution, try to minimize the reoccurrence, and you move forward, and continue to take care of the rest of your residents. More patients.
Any other questions?
It's called anxiety medication, blood pressure medication. No, you have to be involved. Like I have, right now, I think our census is 91, we're supposed to get 2 admissions, so we'll be at 93, and you could ask me, you could bring up a name of one of my residents, and I would be able to give you a snippet of what they are. You have to be involved. You have to learn their behaviors, your staff you have to learn your staff have to learn their behaviors, and again, you have to give them the tools to be successful. Put them at the closest room to the nurse's station, get fall mats, get a low bed, have them involved with activities. Activities does one-to-one. Frequent rounding, which if your CNAs and nurses are busy, then that means I'm out of my office and I'm doing rounds as well. As the administrator is doing rounds as well. We also have something called ambassador rounds, where each department head is assigned to a certain number of rooms, and every day that we're there, Monday through Friday, we go check in on them throughout the day. And again, extra set of eyes and ears and hands, it always helps with the care of the residents, because those are going to be the times where you're catching them getting up and you're able to redirect them. Your medical director is going to play a big role in coming up with interventions. Let's say they're increased for some reason. Maybe they have a UTI. We reach out to your medical director, we run labs, we get UAs, we do medication changes. It's a lot of different interventions, but you have to be involved as a clinician for your facility. And it is a risk. I mean, we get referrals where they're saying they're a fall risk, and our company's saying you need census, bring them in. And so from the beginning, you don't even have a chance because you know they're a fall risk. But at the end of the day, you're still responsible for caring for these residents in your facility.
Liability insurance, do you have that on all staff, or how does that work?
Yeah, it covers the building. I don't really look at it too much, doctor, but every nursing home has liability insurance.
Okay. But it does cover staff members, even like CNAs?
Yeah, it does, yeah. And, if they get hurt on the job, we send them to like Concentra or one of those places, and they get therapy. Some will even try to milk it, y'all, and say they have a back injury and all types of stuff, and you'll deal with that too.
Anything else?
Well, y'all, I have Hayden next semester. If y'all want to come with me the following semester, you let Dr. Hamilton know, okay? And you'll know the real deal of what us nursing home administrators and director of nursing really go through on a day in, day out basis.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, y'all. Appreciate it.